on the Speaker's trip to Taiwan. I mean, I know you're saying everything China has done was largely sort of anticipated, but from all the reactions you have seen so far, are there any that have caused, are cause of concern for this administration?
Look, I think just broadly speaking, it's concerning to see them react in the way they've reacted. There's no need for that. There's no justification to turn this into a crisis. So it's unfortunate that they have already chosen to act in ways we kind of predicted that they would. We would again remind leaders in Beijing that there's nothing unprecedented about this trip. I heard a Chinese spokesman earlier today was saying that it violates their sovereignty. There's no violation of sovereignty. Speaker going is perfectly consistent with other members of Congress going, as I said, including this year. So there's just no reason to amp this up. And we're not going to participate in that. As I said at the outset, we're not going to do saber rattling. We're simply going to do what we have to do to make sure that her trip is safe and secure, and that we can meet our security commitments in the region writ broadly, and also to make sure that we can keep those lines of communication open, because it's important, again, particularly when things are tense.
So how should we interpret that in that case, John? Just a quick follow-up, if I may. How should we interpret in that case, the U.S. U.S. Navy parking warships to the east of Taiwan? How should we interpret, the Chinese warplanes flying over the line, divvying up the Taiwan Strait?
Well, as a former naval officer, I can assure you we do not park warships anywhere, but we deploy them as appropriate. And I'm not going to speak to individual unit movements right now. We have the 7th Fleet is present in the Western Pacific, based in Japan. We have a lot of naval assets in the region, and they're constantly moving around, and they're constantly conducting operations and exercises, to include what we call freedom of navigation exercises or operations.
Reaction to what is happening there?
I'm not going to talk about force level movements with respect to this.
James, are you ready?
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Admiral, one on Taiwan, if you would, and one on the Middle East very quickly. You keep telling us that U.S. policy hasn't changed and that the United States does not support an independent Taiwan. And yet, if we look at what Speaker Pelosi tweeted from the ground in Taiwan, her post actually states, quote, "America stands with Taiwan." We all know that Taiwan harbors ambitions toward independence. When the Speaker of the House says, "We stand with Taiwan, America stands with Taiwan," how can the Chinese construe that as anything else but that you're supporting independence?
I'll let the Speaker speak for herself. All I can tell you, James, is what I told you yesterday. And I'm happy to repeat it. Nothing has changed about our adherence to the One China policy. Nothing has changed about our stance on Taiwan independence, which is that we do not support Taiwan independence. And nothing has changed, James, about our commitments and how seriously we take those commitments under the Taiwan Relations Act. Everything is consistent, James. I can't say that any more clearly.
So when she says America stands with Taiwan, is she misstating administration policy?
You should talk to Speaker Pelosi about her comments. I'm not going to parse. I'm not saying that, James. I'm not going to speak for Speaker Pelosi. That's beyond my writ. I can speak for the administration when it comes to national security policy, and nothing has changed about our policy.
On the Middle East, very quickly.